field has already advanced to day 3.
Wow.
Now some of the game's top players begin their day 2, hoping to get one step closer to winning the main event.
Biggest bet of the tournament.
2003 world champion Chris Moneymaker is still in the hunt. But can he conquer a field over 8 times larger than when he won the title? Jerry Yang's fortunes were mixed in a roller coaster day 1.
The champ survived.
Is there still some magic left in the deck for the defending champion? They've survived the first step. Tonight is the next step. The second, day 2, starts now.
Yes.
Welcome to the World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. I'm Lon McCarran, along with Norman Chad. A busy Rio poker room is once again bursting at the seams as nearly 2,400 players have returned to the main event for the second session of day 2.
New days, new luck.
This field boasts many of the game's top players, along with 7 main event champions, including Phil Hellmuth, who left his military outfit at home and is in full civilian attire today.
Hey, what's up?
Phil Locke looks like he found the fountain of youth as he's ditched his older alter ego.
The old man went broke in a poker game.
Meanwhile, at table 2 sits Jerry Yang, who is hoping to catch lightning in a bottle 2 years in a row and successfully defend his main event title.
I'm very short stack today.
And our loaded featured table tonight is headlined by the 2003 champ Chris Moneymaker.
We had a starting field of nearly 7,000 at this main event, part of what is called the Moneymaker effect. Poker pro Cloney Gowan has cashed 4 times in this World Series, but still looking for her first bracelet. Fellow pro Diego Cordovez won a bracelet in 2000 in a no-limit hold'em event. And there is amateur David Einhorn, who finished 18th in the main event 2 years ago.
If I push Chris, you promise to call me?
I can't promise. If I have an ace, no, you have too much.
Just trying to find out who's going to call when I push.
If I have a hand, I'll call.
You always have a hand. I got a hand right now.
Very true.
So,
Very true.
yeah, if you're a man of your word, you'll call.
Put it in there and we'll find out.
Chris finished day 1 with about 69,000 chips. Cloney is below the 20,000 chip starting stack. On the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Camp, 10-8 for Moneymaker. He folds. A very powerful featured table here with Moneymaker, Cordovez, Gowan, and Einhorn. Diego Cordovez looks down at Ace-Jack of diamonds from the small blind.
Diego made 7 World Series final tables between 2000 and 2004.
Diego limped in Cloney Gowan with King-6 of hearts in the big blind. Cloney, a bit short stacked, and she's going to raise it. 2,500 total.
Cloney likes to be aggressive, and she senses weakness.
I'll raise.
Well, I guess she sensed wrong.
Diego raises all in.
All right, how much you got?
Cloney knew she would have to stir the waters early to get some chips, but she's run into an even more determined Cordovez.
Hey, y'all woke up ready to gamble today, didn't you?
Yeah, apparently I did.
I don't know if Cloney woke up wanting to gamble this much with King-6.
All right.
And Cloney will lay it down.
And that's about as much emotion as you will see out of Diego.
Like that.
And Diego picked up some much-needed chips from Cloney Gowan right there. 2 very skilled pros with an early skirmish at this featured table. It's going to take some solid poker chops tonight to advance to day 3. Well, Norman, there certainly is no shortage of talent at this featured table, and quite a bit of talent in the field as well. 7 main event champions are in action, including the man who helped kick off the poker craze and the most recent beneficiary of that boom.
Lon, poker has been very good to Chris Moneymaker and Jerry Yang. In turn, they both have been very good for poker. Few would argue the impact that Moneymaker has had on the game, and few would argue that Yang is among the nicest ever to win the big one. Now, these 2 distinct champions will do their best to survive day 2.
We've seen the Moneymakers in good shape at our featured table. Over at table 2, defending champ Jerry Yang has about 30,000 chips starting today. He's in a hand right now with St. Louis attorney Steve Stolz. Jerry with Ace-Jack of spades. He called the pre-flop raise by Stolz, who has Yang dominated. The flop is Deuce-9 King. That missed both. Stolz still ahead. He checks. Jerry Yang loves some early momentum. That's 3,300.
Jerry says the night before last year's main event final table, he decided he'd be the aggressor, partly because he was short-stacked and partly because his opponents were tight.
Stolz lays down the best hand.
Good lay down.
Yeah, good laydown for you, you overachieving social worker.
That means it was a bad lay down.
No, you did. You made a good lay down.
There's no law against lying to a lawyer at a poker table.
So aggression and reputation perhaps accounted for that win by Jerry Yang. Jerry trying to become the first main event champion in 20 years to win back-to-back titles. The last person to do that was this man, Johnny Chan. Johnny in a hand right now. Put out a big bet and gets his opponent to fold.
Johnny Chan's got the name, he's got the game, but he has not cashed in the main event since 1992.
Nice hand, Mr. Chan. I don't know if it was a nice hand or not. That was a good play.
The only reason Johnny Chan did not three-peat was because of this guy, Phil Hellmuth. Beat Johnny heads up for the title in '89. Phil in a hand right now with Bobby Law.
I wish I could be at this table.
Phil Lock, an anxious spectator. Law put out a bet and Phil lays it down.
Poker brat seldom folds without comment.
Oh, Law shows that he bluffed Phil out of his chips.
You know I'm going to have to take you out now, right?
But one for luck? Oh, my. Thank God about the luck stuff.
But why, Phil, check in 5 hours. I'll have all his orange chips, I think, by then.
Eventually, my man has everyone's orange chips.
2005 world champ Joe Hashem is also playing today. He just re-raised all in with pocket queens against the pocket eights of Asher DeRay. And DeRay will call and put Joe at risk. Hashem ahead.
All right. This could be quick and sweet.
Well, if Joe loses, it will be quick, but not sweet.
Yeah. Flop is good for Joe. His queens are still best. Turn card, he's got a royal flush draw now.
Hashem has to dodge an 8.
And it's a 4. No royal, but Hashem doubles up anyway.
That wasn't so quick, but it was sweet.
We seldom see Joe Hashem get his money in bad. He was in good shape there.
Joe has about $300,000 in tournament earnings over the last 12 months. Now, back to our feature table. One of our top pros here has moved all in. Cloney Gowan with pocket 8s, hoping to come from behind against Cameron Hamilton's pocket 10s.
Cloney's got about the same short stack Hashem had, but she's behind.
I'm a favorite, actually. 8s come out more often than 10s. It's like a 4-to-1 favorite. How 8s pop out more than 10s. It is, yeah.
Wishful thinking. The flop, well, no 8s in there. Hamilton still ahead.
But it usually comes on the turn.
The eternal optimist.
Now she's sucking me out. It's really weird me out.
Turns a deuce.
Now it's going to have to come on the river.
Cloney in good spirits, but only an 8 will keep a smile on her face.
River card. It's a 9. And Cloney Gowan has been eliminated from this main event.
One of our top pros is gone. Well, we couldn't lose one of the guys from the table?
Cloney is always missed when she takes her leave, and she'll take her coffee to go. Cloney Gowan knocked out of the big one.
Good luck to you, okay? Maybe you'll win the main event.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you.
Oh, Edward, no, please don't come in. I know this must be difficult for you, and it's really not your fault. But I've met Troy now, and intellectually, he's more on my plane.
You got a plane?
Bad poker face. Doesn't matter when you play online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.
Twin engine?
Back inside the Rio, a look at our E-Trade Financial Tournament ticker with a reminder of the chip colors and their worth. This year's main event has over 136 million chips in play. To the field, we find Grant Hinkle. Looks like he has been eliminated. Both he and his brother Blair won bracelets at this World Series as he gets props from his uncle on the rail. But a pair that still has chips, 6-time bracelet winner Min Win and his wife Van.
My lovely lady, my wife. I did so good, huh? Didn't I? WPT champion, first lady. Just say something to the camera. All you can eat, baby.
I don't think so.
Say it.
I don't think so.
Elsewhere, an old school, new school matchup. This season, Mike Matasso engaged in battle with top internet player, 21-year-old Andrew Roble. Matasso has put out a bet to Roble. Roble thinks better of it and folds.
I know he's coming after me. Don't worry. This ain't the internet.
This ain't the internet, one of Mike's favorite lectures.
An internet move ain't gonna work here because I can see him and I can see what he's doing.
Mike's on his game. Also in the field, 2 imposing pros squaring off. Howard Lederer has moved all in with ace-king against the pocket 9s of Jean-Rivers Ballon. Flop now. 6-10 deuce. That misses Lederer. Full on still ahead. Turn card. It's a trade. No help to Howard.
Lederer needs an ace or a king.
River card is a 6, and that's going to do it. Howard Lederer is gone.
The professor made the final table in his first main event ever in 1987. It's been 20-plus years of frustration since then. He's only cashed in the main event one other time.
Maybe the most entertaining duo of the day, two Las Vegas pros, Phil Locke and Michael Carroll. Carroll was sitting next to Jerry Yang on day one. Today's going to be a little different.
Swing around. I'll show you my hand. Swing around. You want to see my hand? Swing around.
I'm giddy with anticipation, Lon.
Phil Locke wants to show us his cards. Oh, pocket aces.
Don't be looking in the lens to get the...
Phil Locke keeps it light and loose at the table.
His opponent is Andrew West in seat 9, and he's going to give it out.
Chemical Brothers, baby. Chemical Brothers. Man, Chemical Brothers is the best. When you're getting good hands, you want Chemical. Bad hands,
that's how it goes.
Bad hands, fold with Billy Joel. Chemical Brothers.
Phil Locke is always the consummate showman at the poker table, and day one of this main event was no different as he took his antics to an entirely new level.
I saw an old episode of Jackass, and Johnny Knoxville was doing his old man stuff. It just clicked. I went, that's what it is. I'm going to be the old man. I just decided if somebody said, what's your name at the table, I was going to say Walter. And in my mind, I was going to be like a chicken farmer in Bangor, Maine. I sat in the makeup chair 6 hours. It was as good as you can do with 1 day notice, but it was not tight. I didn't want to spend more than like 10 seconds talking to anybody, because if you looked at me, it was like I was a carnival creation of somebody's imagination.
I had you 80%.
I started conversations, but mostly I just nodded and was like, nice hand. That chicken coop got away on that one. Whatever I could come up with, you know.
They came up from the barn and they're all geniuses.
It was worth it, but I wouldn't do it again. It was incredibly time-consuming. Walter will not be making another appearance. I guess it's kind of like a marathon. You do it once and that's enough for any human.
He ran out of time, so he could only put makeup on one of his hands. He chose his left hand, even though he is right-handed, because he wanted to force himself to use his left hand so he would fumble the chips a little bit, and he just kept his right hand under the table.
That is one complicated stunt. Phil Locke owns no bracelets. Of course, he and the rest of the field fighting for that main event bracelet. A number of players who own one are still in action. One of them, Chris Moneymaker at our feature table, who has pocket queens.
Since Moneymaker won the big one 5 years ago, he's cashed in just 3 World Series events.
He raises the action to $1,500 over to Eli Adler, a 22-year-old stock trader from Philadelphia.
And Eli is a very good chess player.
Ace 6 raises to $4,500.
Well, maybe chess is his better game.
Action on David Einhorn, and he folds.
Man, there are a lot of smart people at this table.
Back to Moneymaker. Moneymaker with pocket queens just makes the call. So he and Adler will go heads up to the flop. He mentioned his chess prowess. Adler was a national chess champion in 3rd grade. The flop is King 9 Jack. Pair of queens still good for Moneymaker. He adds a straight draw, and he checks.
It's pretty simple. Most flops are heads up. The most aggressive player wins the pot most of the time.
Moneymaker checks. Adler checks.
Nobody listens to me. Nobody.
Turn card now. 5 of diamonds, no help to Adler. Moneymaker still with a big advantage.
It's pretty simple. Most turns are heads up. The most aggressive player wins the pot most of the time.
Moneymaker checks. Adler now being aggressive, $5,100.
There you go. He bet $5,000 with nothing. I believe the pot is his.
So Moneymaker's going to shrink away, you're saying?
Yes.
Moneymaker with the call.
Okay, I didn't plan on that.
All right, heads up to the river now. And 9 of clubs gives Moneymaker the check mark.
Well, it's pretty simple, Lon. Most rivers are heads up. The most aggressive player wins most of the time.
Moneymaker trying to figure out why Adler's still around. He's going to make it $7,500. So now it's Moneymaker's, right?
If Adler comes over the top, I don't know what Moneymaker does. I mean, it's been a while since he won the main event. Do it, kid.
What do you got over there? What are you thinking about? Queens? King scares you?
Pop him. Pop him, Eli. And if Chris calls, I apologize.
Let's get that.
Adler will lay it down.
Chris still a champ. He knew where he was at in that hand.
Plenty of potential danger on that board. Perhaps cause for concern for Moneymaker, but he still felt his queens were best. And that is the Planter's Good Instinct moment.
The Planter's Good Instinct moment is brought to you by Planters. instinctively good. 2008 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, main event.
Back inside the Rio Poker Room on a day we could call Champions Day, with 7 past world champions in action, including the current champ Jerry Yang with ace-queen. He'll see a flop with Blake Stepp, who played pro basketball in Europe. Stepp is behind with ace-10. Flop is Jack-King-4. Ace-queen for Yang is still best.
Jerry says he still considers himself a true rookie, but if you're at the table with him, you're playing against the main event champ.
Both players with straight draws to the ace. Stepp checked. Jerry bets 4,000. And Stepp will fold.
Everyone's so serious.
We were just worried that Jerry might go bust and then we wouldn't be on TV anymore.
Stay as long as you can, all right?
I'm going to try, you know, my goal is to win back-to-back, so it's going to be rough and tough, but...
My goal is to win back-to-back divorce cases. It is rough and tough.
Jerry's got one of the great Las Vegas stories, but topping that is the one of Archie Karras, who ran his bankroll up to $40 million over the course of 3 years.
Of course, Archie not only went from 0 to $40 million, he then went from $40 million to 0 in 2 years.
Archie made a bet, now facing a raise from Cornell Pizarra. Pizarra was Mike Matisso's nemesis at the featured table on day 1. And Archie shows a 7 and lays it down. Pizarra will take that pot.
That guy bluffed you? He's tough, man. I gave him 27,000 chips on day 1.
Archie's been bluffed by the best in his life.
This guy pro over here, should I watch out for him, Mike?
Archie?
Yeah.
Watch out for his chips coming your way.
Archie made a final table at this year's World Series in the Raz event, where Barry Greenstein won a bracelet. Across the room is a man who has broken his own record of being the oldest to ever play in the main event, 95-year-old Jack Urey. Jack Urey has been knocked out.
Thank you, brother. Maybe I'll do better next year.
Maybe next year I'm picking Jack Urey instead of Phil Ivey.
The main event always filled with incredible people and inspirational stories, and none more so than that of Mike Wilson. Mike was born with no arms, but still handles the rigors of long hours at the poker table quite well. Mike managed to work his way through a treacherous day 1 with 16,000 chips. Right there, he wins a small pot.
Mike was knocked out quickly in the only other main event he played in 2 years ago.
It is quite amazing how Mike handles his chips and his cards just using his foot. Mike's strongest asset, though, may be his mental toughness. He has never let his condition keep him from living a full life.
When people say to me, you know, how long did it take you to learn how to do that? My standard answer is, how long did it take you? My parents had to fight a little bit to get me into elementary school, and then when I went into high school, they told me that I would either have to be in a wheelchair or walk or something like that. So now I had to learn how to walk, so I did. Basically, I can do everything that you can do, more or less. I mean, except for dressing, and I'm dressing myself, but that's about it, really, that I can't do. I went parasailing and swam with the dolphins in Mexico. Then the ultimate thrill of all this was skydiving. And that was, like I say, very, very exciting.
Fantastic.
Well, I try to enjoy life, yeah. So.
Mike quit poker for a long time and started playing bridge, but now he plays poker more than bridge.
Yeah, Mike used to only travel with his family, but bridge taught him he could travel on his own. And after the main event, he's going to be representing the northwestern region of North America in a national bridge tournament right here in Las Vegas.
Short stacks.
Yeah, Mike was short to begin the day, but he's picked up a couple small pots, so we'll keep an eye on him. Back now to our featured table, where we have lost one of our top pros in Cloney Gowan, but here's another one. Diego Cordovez looks down at pocket 4s.
Diego learned to play when he was 6 years old. His first grade teacher used poker to teach the class arithmetic.
Wish I had that teacher.
Yeah, we'd both have a bracelet.
Or at least I would.
Good for you.
Raised to 1,300 to Angelo Sargenti, 55-year-old World Series rookie with ace-queen. He re-raises it to 3,300. Action folds around the table back to Cordovez.
Diego always looks a little unhappy at the table. He's just thinking.
He calls for 2,000 more. The flop now is 4-deuce-8. A set of 4s increases Cordovez's advantage.
See, he still looks like he's got a paternity suit pending.
Cordovez slow plays the set. Sargenti now with a stab at it of 2,500.
I don't blame Sargenti for firing, but he's come to a gunfight with a knife.
Cordovez raises to 6,500.
And that should be end of story.
Sargenti continues to write the chapter.
I said that should be end of story. That was an easy fold for Sargenti.
To the turn. It's an ace that pairs Sargenti, but Cordovez earns the check mark. Cordovez checks again.
All in.
Sargenti pushes.
I call.
Cordovez will call.
No thinking needed there from Diego.
No, and Sargenti was drawing dead, so that will be the end of his main event.
Once again, this is the most emotion you will see out of Diego.
Sargenti gone, but a key win for the man nicknamed D-Train. Cordovez began the day short stack, but he has found his groove. This Poker Pack is brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. If you're dealt a pocket pair, the chances of flopping a set are pretty slim, so don't bet the house on it. Back at the Rio, a talented threesome still at our featured table, including the 2006 18th place finisher David Einhorn.
Cornell, man.
World Series bracelet winner from 2000, Diego Cordovez.
Stanford, man.
And the 2003 main event champion, Chris Moneymaker.
Tennessee, man.
And one of the other players joining that trio, Tommy Johansson, 29, from Sweden, on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam Ace 9 offsuit.
I have no idea where he went to school. Maybe Sweden Community College.
He does raise the action with Ace 9 to 1600 to Chris Moneymaker with Ace Jack of Hearts.
To those who still question Moneymaker's poker skills, Chris simply says, I have validated myself to myself.
He makes the call for 1600 on Cordovez now. Ace, Queen of Diamonds. The aces keep getting bigger.
Everyone with an ace. Diego in the small blind.
1350 more. He makes the call. Anton Bergstrom, another Swedish player. 7-5 of hearts, and he'll make the call.
I think he went to Sweden Community College, too.
4 players to the flop. Flop is 8-7 deuce. Bergstrom pairs his 7 and takes the lead. Cordovez first to act. He checks. Bergstrom, pair of 7s, is the best hand, and he checks. Johansson checks as well. Chris checks behind him.
Jeez, it's like a morgue out there.
Turn card now when the case ace hits 3 players. Cordovez, though, has the best kicker with the queen.
Ceylon, this side of the table's wearing sunglasses, so they can't even see the board. And this side of the table isn't wearing shades, so everything is clear to them.
Cordovez checks the best hand. Bergstrom checks as well. Johansson checked, and now Moneymaker is going to step to the plate. Bets 3,000.
Chris thinks he has the best hand.
Cordovez with the call. He does have the best hand. Bergstrom folds. Johansson, head in hand, he folds. So heads up, Moneymaker and Cordovez.
Diego with the advantage, plus he's going to be able to see the river better than Chris.
8 on the river. The queen kicker will play. Cordovez earns the check mark. Action on Diego.
Both might be worried that the other one has an 8 or clubs in the hole.
Cordovez checks. Moneymaker can only win this by betting, but he checks as well. And Cordovez turns over the best hand.
Aces and 8s with
and a tidal wave of emotion from Diego.
With aces and 8s with a queen kicker.
Good hand. Like you could have around on the flop.
I don't know. You seem kind of skilled. You seem pretty skilled to me today.
A little of both.
Well, you're not unlucky. You've been unlucky.
Diego has made a name for himself in the poker world, but it's a name he shares with his father, a well-known diplomat who you could say has a couple of notable entries in his resume.
Well, my dad spent his whole life as a diplomat, Undersecretary General of the UN, negotiated the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan, mediated the Iran-Iraq War, and then he was Foreign Minister and Chancellor of Ecuador. What I like is the fact that if you go to Google, since we have the same name, you know, first entry, withdrawal of Soviet troops, second entry, $300 limit hold'em tournament at the bike, third entry, peace negotiations with Colombia. That puts in perspective where the poker fits in. My father always said, go into something where you control your own destiny. Poker is something where if you have the right attributes, you can rise to the top and make a good life. And for me, poker obviously is primarily a very selfish pursuit where you don't have much positive impact on the world directly. So long ago, I just gave up on trying to rationalize it, trying to defend it. You know, I like what I do. I'm not going to change the world the way he did. And that's just my destiny.
His father negotiated the Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan. My father once negotiated a better room rate for us from Ramada Inn.
I was Diego in Spanish class in high school and all
That's
that
interesting
stuff.
because Diego is actually James.
Is that right?
Yeah. Just Diego originated as a nickname for Jaime, like Bob or Robert. So that's why they're really the same name.
Interesting.
So while a couple of smart guys hash out that name thing, let's go to the outer tables. We've mentioned how strong this field is. Number of top pros who have won multiple bracelets in action, including 5-time bracelet winner Alan Cunningham. He started the day with about 49,000 chips in hand with Mirko Savoni right now. Alan throws out a bet.
Cunningham 4 cashes at this World Series, including 1 final table.
Savoni calls, and it looks like he called Alan's bluff.
Boy, you know, if he bets, you're supposed to lay it down. He's Alan Cunningham.
Alan runs into one of the many landmines the pros have to navigate in the main event. 2-time bracelet winner Jennifer Harmon started today with 63,000. Jennifer's got a couple of aces. And her opponent, Ace King, and that means the end of the day for Tarjei Forrest.
Jen has only cashed once at this World Series, but she's got twin boys to look after now, plus Marco.
Elsewhere is the 2006 Player of the Year, Jeff Madsen. He won his 2 bracelets that year, and he wins a pot there.
And remember at that 06 World Series, Jeff Madsen got 2 bracelets and 2 third places in a 3-week period.
Jeff is hijacking that battle cry from this guy, Havad Khan, who is noticeably more subdued this year after an anti-celebration rule went into effect in his honor.
Yeah, Havad Khan brought us the Havad Khan rule, and he continues to be very, very mellow.
Get some hand. You must get some hand. Raising every hand. I really do.
I had aces twice, kings, and ace king already. You believe me? Did you believe me? No, man. You don't believe me?
Let's check in on 89 champ Phil Hellmuth. When we last saw him, he was being bluffed by Bobby Law. These two are hooked up again. This time, Bobby is the one folding.
There is no Phil Hellmuth rule. He can still be Phil Hellmuth.
No more bluffs.
All right,
One around.
Take it easy.
I don't know. You're kind of guy might not be around in 2 hours. No, I'll have the goods because I'm going to just check and slow play it.
I wouldn't want there to be a Phil Hellmuth rule.
All right, let's get back to table 2 where Jerry Yang and Blake Stepp are once again heads up. And once again, Jerry has the best of it pre-flop. His ace-queen versus the king-queen for Stepp. Flop now is queen, tray, king. That's huge for Stepp. King's up. And that also paired Jerry's queen.
Jerry says he takes a cold shower in the morning during tournaments to stimulate him. You know when I take a cold shower, Lon.
Again, Norman, too much information. Yang bets 4,000.
It does stimulate Jerry to play aggressively with the inferior hand.
Stepp with his 2-pair, just with a call. Turn card now is another king, and Stepp earns the check mark with a full house. And Jerry Yang, the defending champ, is reaching for chips, drawing dead.
And Jerry in a lot of trouble now with a dwindling chip stack and putting more chips out into a pot he cannot win.
10,000 chip bet from Jerry Yang.
Stepp drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2004.
Just with another call, maybe hoping to get more chips out of Jerry on the river.
Well, Stepp's got Jerry right in his sights right now.
9 on the river. Stepp already has the check mark with a full boat. Yang, first to act, and he slows down just to check.
And that is Stepp's cue to bet.
And he will indeed. About half the pot, 15,000.
Well, Jerry wondering if he was rivered, but he was behind from the flop on.
Jerry's dad looking on as his son is at a critical moment here.
The champ in a tough spot. He doesn't want to give away this pot, but if he calls here, he'll have virtually no chips left.
I call.
A big crowd watches as the world champion gives away almost all of his chips. Wow.
Not going Jerry Yang's way.
Oh, what a turn.
Hey, you had him crushed on the flop.
Yang's dad watching a very different main event than he witnessed last year. His son down to 2,300 chips.
Bad read on that one.
A big win for Blake Stepp, but a huge misstep for the defending champion.
The 2008 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio and this talent-laden field with a lot of gamble in it. So let's see what Phil Locke's up to. Locke's opponent, Jose Gomez, has laid out a bet, but Locke is not quite sure what to do.
I'm going to pay him to see the hand after I fold.
How much?
Sir, how much would you like? Cash money to see your hand. How much? 15. You got to show for 15. For 15. This is real money.
Show on the bluff. Show on the bluff.
Nothing? No money?
Show on the bluff.
He shows him anyway.
Wow.
Pocket queens for Gomez, wins the hand.
Really?
At another table, a player who loves to get his chips in the middle is Gus Hansen, but often it's so hard to know what cards he's playing.
When you're playing Gus, sometimes you don't even know what your own cards are anymore.
His opponent is confused enough to fold, and Gus Hansen will take that pot.
Gus Hansen still looking for a World Series breakthrough. He looks like he should have a bracelet.
And then there's the biggest gambler of them all, Archie Karras, who just flopped 2-pair and moved all in. But Aaron Alameda flopped a better 2-pair and called. Archie is in trouble.
Archie with 1 foot out the door here.
Turn card now is a 9 and possibly 1 card left for Archie Karras.
Archie now needs a 9 or a 3 to stick around.
It is a deuce, and that's going to do it. Alameda wins the pot and knocks off Archie Karras.
Hello, Arch. No good?
The mouth with an ill-timed greeting.
Good luck, everybody.
Archie with 3 World Series cashes in his career, but will leave empty-handed from this main event.
The $40 million man will find another place to gamble.
All right, on the other side of the Milwaukee's Best Light No Limit Lounge, we go back to our featured table. Chris Moneymaker in action, ace, queen of clubs.
The year Chris won the main event, 839 players in the field. The next year, 2,576 players.
He does raise the action to 1,600. Quite a moneymaker effect it was. Action on Gerhard Meyer. He has pocket trays, and he makes the call of 1,600. Adler will fold on Cordovez.
Diego's steaming about something right now. I can see it in his face. He's just steaming.
Action folds over to David Einhorn. Einhorn looks down at 10-9 of clubs.
This guy is rich, and he's smart, and he's charitable. I don't like it.
And he's aggressive. He raises it to 6,000. Action folds back to Moneymaker. He needs 4,400 to call, and he does. Meyer with his trays makes the call. So pretty much a 3-way jump ball to the flop. Flop is 5 queen 4. Moneymaker with a pair of queens and a nut flush draw. Einhorn picked up an inferior flush draw. Check to Einhorn. He bet 16,000.
Now, well, Moneymaker decided to let Einhorn lead out again and trap himself.
And he's done just that. 2003 world champ.
Make it 40.
Is going to make it 40,000. So Meyer left with pocket trays, and they go away. Now back to Einhorn.
Einhorn has a flush draw, which of course is no good because Chris has better clubs. Chris just could have smooth called there. Instead, he makes the big pot-sized raise, perhaps trying to convince Einhorn he's bluffing and hoping David comes back over the top of him.
Einhorn will fold, and so Moneymaker with top pair and the nut flush draw put a quick end to that hand.
Good hand.
Einhorn, even smarter than he looks, makes the good laydown.
So Chris Moneymaker having a pretty successful main event so far adds to his chip stack. All right, let's get back over to table 2. Taylor Raines raised with ace queen. Action now on a very short stack Jerry Yang. Jerry with ace deuce.
I'm all in.
Jerry's going to push with that suited ace.
Jerry Yang hanging on with very little left.
Raines would need not that much more to put Jerry at risk.
Your father never wanted you to gamble. Maybe he knew what he was talking about.
Raines, a 32-year-old from San Jose, used to be a software engineer, makes the call, and Jerry Yang at risk and trailing.
Total or more?
Yes, total.
Hey guys, this is it for the champ. We're gonna need some serious luck.
And the champ may have only one flop, turning river left in him.
Raines with the lead.
Whatever happens, yeah, I have fun. Whatever happens, I have fun, guys.
Jerry gracious as always. The flop is 6-6-5. The bigger ace for Raines keeps him in the lead.
Well, that gives Jerry a shot at a split pot. If 2 pair hit the board, both would play their ace kicker.
Turn card is a club and a club flush draw for Jerry.
With a club or deuce, Jerry wins it. Or if a 5 or jack hits, it'll be a split pot with 2 pair on the board. Otherwise, the champ is done.
River's a jack.
Chop it.
Chop.
And chop they will.
Guys, chop.
Jerry momentarily thought it was over. He's alive.
And so is the dream of back-to-back.
Can't get rid of you so easily.
Hey, you know what? I'm the defending champion here. I'm sure you guys want me to stay a little bit longer, right?
Yang's stack is close to the felt, but he's still alive and still defending his title. Welcome back to the Rio. November 11th is when that bracelet will be awarded to the main event champion, along with $9.1 million. Chris won $2.5 for his victory 5 years ago.
This table got much more serious after you took down that big pot.
Wasn't it not as fun loving anymore?
No, doesn't seem like it.
I'm still having fun.
Oh, I'm having fun.
I'm sure David is too.
Why shouldn't he be having fun? It's the main event, the big one. $9 million to the winner. Pocket nines, it's a party.
Einhorn with those pocket nines.
Actually, doesn't look like he's having fun.
Limps in for 600. Chris Moneymaker. Jack 8 suited. He's a limper.
Look, it's like a bachelor party down there. A bunch of happy guys. And then there's my main man, Diego Cordovez. Fun loving, life of the party. He's having a gas.
Small blind with King 10. Only costs him 300 to limp in. He does. Anton Bergstrom.
How old's this guy?
23.
Just want to make sure he's supposed to be here.
He does check his option for 4 limpers. Pocket nines for Einhorn in the lead right now. The flop is Ace, Jack, Trey. Moneymaker grabs the lead with a pair of jacks. Cordovez picked up a straight draw. He checks. Bergstrom missed everything. Checked over to Chris Moneymaker, and he checks as well.
What's everybody waiting for? A naked lady to jump out of a cake?
Another jack and trip jacks for Moneymaker. Cordovez missed his straight draw. He checks. Check. Check again to Moneymaker. And he bets 1,500.
Chris decides he's not going to wait any longer.
Diego gives it up. Bergstrom folds. Einhorn. Well, he'll make the call for 1,500.
Chris gets one taker. All you need is one customer to make money. Cha-ching!
River cards a 5 of clubs. Moneymaker with his trip jacks earns the check mark. Einhorn checks. Moneymaker working with a nice stack. That's 4,000.
We saw Einhorn make that good laydown earlier against Chris. Let's see if he can again give it up properly.
Einhorn purses the lips and says, "That's $4,000." He calls. And Moneymaker shows the winning hand.
David called on the turn with the nines. I guess he figured they were still good.
Chris Moneymaker takes some more chips off of David Einhorn.
A lot of main event champions still alive in this tournament. I'd love to see Chris Moneymaker keep it going.
All right, let's check on the progress of some of the players we've been following on the outer tables. Mike Matiso in a hand again with Andrew Roble. Action on Roble with all the cards out. Matiso checked the action to Roble. Roble checks. Matiso turns over an ace. It looks like he caught the river.
Got there.
I know I got there. You think I don't know I got there? I was hoping to maybe tooth a bluff when the ace rolled off there. You become too good a player. The old you would have bet there. The new you rolled it over. I don't like the new you. I like the old you.
The mouth digging playfully at Andrew Roble.
All right, elsewhere we find Jean-Robert Bolland.
Wow. Don't have chirping chips yet.
Here's another mouth.
He does collect a small pot.
Feeling a lot better. Don't have chirping chips yet, boys.
He doesn't need many chips to chirp. Over to Mike Wilson, who has raised all in. He's been working the short stack most of the day. It looks like he gets his opponent to fold, and he'll take that pot.
Mike, a retired stockbroker, he put himself through school playing poker.
You want to stack it or you're okay? All that I know is if they don't call you, they can't beat you. Right?
So Mike put the pressure on, and he does take some more chips in. All right, over to table 2 now, and Jerry Yang has just been barely hanging on.
I'm all in, guys.
And with ace-jack, he's going to push again with the short stack.
Jerry nursing that short stack much of the day.
Yang happy to see the big ace in a desperate situation. To the small blind, John Krongeyer with ace-9. He's short also. Krongeyer does make the call to put Jerry Yang at risk. Action on the big blind now. Big blind folds. And so Yang and Krongeyer heads up, and Jerry has the best of it.
All right, we're ahead. We're ahead.
Jerry's got him dominated.
We want to see that jack. Or ace, right? Ace or jack, one of those.
All right, so heads up with Jerry's dad looking on, his son at risk. The flop. Oh, and there's a 9 that pairs Krongeyer.
Unbelievable.
The champ now on the ropes.
Jack.
Turn card is a queen.
Jack.
Jerry down to perhaps his final card. Only a jack will keep Yang alive at the main event.
The river card is a 10, and Jerry Yang has been eliminated from the 2008 main event.
It's been great playing with you guys.
1 year later, Jerry Yang returns to Earth.
Next year, right?
John Krongeier does the dirty work, and for the 20th straight year, there will be no repeat champ at the main event.
Everybody, thank you so much for your support.
We play for big pots, small stakes, and the chance to say, read 'em and weep. For the weekends, the all-nighters, and the lunch hour. We play for the legends, and for the unknowns who dream of winning it all. For the bad beats, and the pocket kings we sometimes have the sense to fold. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Back inside the Rio for a poker player being knocked out of the main event is a serious blow, yet Jerry Yang still manages a smile and a word for his fans on the way out.
No one expected Yang to go back-to-back. It was nice to see Jerry make it to day 2.
Thank you for everything, everybody.
So we will have a new champion here in 2008. Let's catch up on some of the past champions still in action. The 05 world champion Joe Hashem putting out a bet.
That's 32.
Hashem made a deep run in the main event the year after his victory.
Yeah, in his effort to go back-to-back, he finished 238th in the largest main event field in history.
He wins that pot as his opponent lays it down. So Joe Hashem looking good right now. At another table, Phil Hellmuth, after he won the big one in '89, he made it back to a main event final table in 2001.
Wow, see, this time I put you on a big hand. But, you know, I have something. I'm not out there.
Phil was raised by Ramsey Jalassi and Folds.
When I was 19 years old, I had the sickest dream that I'm going to win the main event. First time I played. I don't know. It might be true.
It's good to dream, son.
There are dreamers everywhere in this room.
On the E-Trade Financial Tournament ticker, you see a list of players who did win the main event in their first attempt. It's happened 5 of the last 6 years.
Hal Fowler in '79, the first amateur ever to win the main event.
One of the players on that list, Chris Moneymaker, is at our featured table. You know, when he was playing that online satellite that earned him his 2003 main event spot, the first 3 places paid a seat. 4th place paid $1,000. Chris was just going for the $1,000 because he desperately needed the money, but it seemed to work out pretty well for him. He's got Ace King.
Indeed, Chris is the pinup boy for dreams. He turned that $40 internet investment into $2.5 million.
He raises 3 times the big blind to $1,800. Gerhard Meyer with pocket aces.
Well, Moneymaker's Ace King could be a nightmare for him against pocket aces.
Meyer makes a raise to $4,900 total. Adler gets out of the way on Diego Cordovez.
Let's watch Diego. He might get emotional here.
He looked upset folding.
What do you have left?
Uh-oh.
What do you have left?
Moneymaker certainly has Meyer covered.
Chris can't get hurt too bad here.
Moneymaker is going to raise it to $19,000 total.
Oh, that was way too fast.
Meyer called right away. The 2003 main event champ has been running pretty good at this featured table, but runs into a bump in the road here, in danger of losing 20,000 chips. So Meyer against Moneymaker. The flop is 10, Queen, Deuce. Meyer still leads. Moneymaker with an inside straight draw.
No check. I hope. One jack.
King or jack to make a straight. Let's see the turn.
Next time, please. One jack, please, sir.
That would fill his straight. It's a tray on the turn.
And only a jack would eliminate Meyer.
River card now.
Sick of paying out money. Give me a jack so I can build back.
Is a 4, and Meyer will double up to 40,000 through Moneymaker as Chris is forced to give up a chunk of his stack.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Chris might be dreaming of 03 right now.
So Chris takes a hit to his stack, but he's still in pretty good shape. The champions are down, but they're not out. 5 still remain, including Phil Hellmuth and Johnny Chan, the last man to win back-to-back titles. However, there will be no repeat performance for Jerry Yang, whose fairy tale reign came to an end.
Thank you, guys.
Many of the game's top players still managed to survive after dispatching the professor. Jean-Robert Valland is hoping to collect more chirping chips. Phil Locke is short stacked but never at a loss for words.
Once again, below average. No life story.
And Mike Wilson's main event dream continues.
I like you guys.
The end of day 2 is still to come from the Rio. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. So long from the main event of the World Series of Poker.